a young sportscaster traveled from Des Moines, Iowa, to cover William Wrigley Jr.'s spring training for the Chicago Cubs.
Wrigley Field, Cubs' ninth inning, the score tied, and Billy Jurgis at the plate. Out on the mound, stepping back and using the rosin bag and shaking off.
During his trip, he made a stopover to Hollywood.
How do you do, everybody? I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ronald Reagan. A few months ago, I was a sports announcer on a radio station in Des Moines, Iowa. One day, I ran into one of these movie talent scouts. I think I caught him off guard because the next thing I knew, I was taking a screen test for Warner Brothers in Hollywood. See you in the movies.
We've known him ever since.
Long before President Ronald Wilson Reagan led the United States of America, he worked as an actor.
Ask them to go in there with all they've got. Win just one for the Kipper.
A spokesman.
For General Electric, here is Ronald Reagan.
Good evening.
And the governor of California. February 6, 2011 marks the day President Reagan would have turned 100 years old. This moment is a historic opportunity to remember the life, lessons, and legacy of America's 40th president.
We are too great a nation to limit ourselves to small dreams.
Ronald Reagan strongly believed America's best days lie ahead.
Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look.
By speaking of traditional ideals that hearken to the founding of our country, and by projecting an aura of confidence and optimism, President Reagan inspired America to regain its sense of purpose.
We've got to do a better job of getting across that America is freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of enterprise, and freedom is special and rare. We the people are free.
Ronald Reagan stood for timeless beliefs, freedom, liberty, and American exceptionalism, principles that must be fought for, protected, and handed down for future generations to do the same.
And children, if your parents haven't been teaching you what it means to be an American, let them know and nail them on it. That would be a very American thing to do.
President Reagan was a man of deep convictions and abiding faith. He also never failed to see the humor in life.
Well, the first thrill tonight was to find myself for the first time in a long time in a movie on prime time.
I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience.
Letter came from Peter Sweeney. He's in the 2nd grade in the Riverside School in Rockville Center. And he said, I hope you get well quick, or you might have to make a speech in your pajamas.
We knew Ronald Reagan as president, governor, Dutch, the Gipper, and the great communicator.
I never thought it was my style or the words I used that made a difference. It was the content. I wasn't a great communicator, but I communicated great things, and they didn't spring full bloom from my brow. They came from the heart of a great nation, from our experience, our wisdom, and our belief in the principles that have guided us for 2 centuries.
He believed in democracy and freedom to the core of his soul.
You all knew that some things are worth dying for. One's country is worth dying for. And democracy is worth dying for because it's the most deeply honorable form of government ever devised by man.
And he tirelessly fought tyranny, oppression, and communism to create a better world.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Above all, Ronald Reagan believed in America and in Americans. He led us to have faith in our strength and unshakable confidence in our great nation, and to champion the oppressed.
As long as we remember our first principles and believe in ourselves, the future will always be ours. And something else we learned. Once you begin a great movement, there's no telling where it'll end. We meant to change a nation, and instead, we changed a world.
On the centennial anniversary of Ronald Reagan's birth, we remember most that President Reagan inspired freedom and changed the world.
Santa Catalina Film Festival salutes one of our own legends. Happy 100th birthday, Mr. President.